Have you ever wondered why some people in their 70s seem to glow brighter than people half their age? It has nothing to do with expensive creams, filters, surgery, or any secret product hiding on a shelf somewhere. The real answer lives quietly inside small, daily choices that most of us walk right past every single day. In Japan, aging is not treated as a sudden event that appears the moment you blow out candles. Instead, it slowly builds from hundreds of tiny decisions repeated so often they eventually become part of who someone is. Today, we're going to break down 8 of these habits that quietly shape how a person ages. Some of these ideas will feel familiar, while others may completely shift how you think about growing older. And the very last habit on this list is the one that secretly holds all the others together. Without it, even the healthiest routines slowly fall apart until nothing remains but good intentions. So stay with me until the end because that final piece changes everything you are about to learn. Think about your grandmother's hands, worn from work, yet somehow still soft, warm, and full of grace. We spend fortunes chasing youth in bottles, while the real answer was hiding in plain sight all along. This is not a beauty trend. It is a quiet philosophy that has survived generations without ever needing marketing. Stick around, because habit number 3 alone could quietly change your entire relationship with stress and time. Let's begin with the first habit, one that has nothing to do with what you eat. In Okinawa, there is an old saying called Harahachi Bu, meaning eat until you're 80% full. It sounds almost too simple to matter, yet this tiny discipline quietly reshapes an entire lifetime of health. Think about how heavy and sluggish your body feels after eating far past the point of comfort. Now, imagine avoiding that exact feeling almost every single day for decades without ever noticing the difference. Your body spends less energy fighting constant overeating and instead uses that energy repairing itself from within. Meals built this way often end with quiet satisfaction instead of uncomfortable fullness weighing down your stomach. A little rice, some grilled fish, a few seasonal vegetables, and a warm bowl of miso soup. Small portions that leave space to breathe instead of forcing your body into constant digestive struggle. Over years, this steady habit helps maintain a stable weight without ever chasing another extreme diet. When weight stays relatively stable, the face tends to age far more gradually than most people expect. Skin looks healthier, movement feels lighter, and even posture quietly benefits from this simple daily restraint. Eating slowly also teaches something we have almost completely forgotten in a world obsessed with speed. Fullness does not arrive instantly. It drifts in quietly, often needing a few extra minutes to register. Looking younger for longer sometimes has nothing to do with what sits on your plate at all. Sometimes it is simply about learning exactly when to set your chopsticks down and stop eating. But what happens right after that meal may end up being just as important as the food. The second habit is something almost anyone can start doing today without spending a single extra dollar. Walk through a Japanese neighborhood early in the morning and you will notice something surprisingly ordinary happening. Older adults are everywhere. Not sprinting, not exhausting themselves, simply walking with no particular rush at all. Some walk toward the local market, others wander through small parks just to enjoy the fresh air. What matters here is not distance or intensity, it is the quiet consistency behind every single step. Walking here is never treated like a workout, it is simply treated as an ordinary part of life. This gentle daily movement keeps joints active, muscles engaged, and blood circulating without overwhelming stress on the body. It also quietly changes something far less obvious than fitness, the way a person physically carries themselves. Someone who walks regularly tends to stand taller, their balance sharpens, and their steps become noticeably smoother. Confidence often shows up in posture long before a single wrinkle ever appears on someone's face. Picture greeting the same neighbors every single morning with a smile and a short, friendly hello. That simple ritual nourishes both the body and the mind in ways numbers can never fully capture. Movement does not need to be difficult in order to matter, it simply needs to become normal. Instead of asking whether you exercised today, try asking if your body felt truly alive today. Because the next habit on this list quietly begins before your very first coffee even finishes brewing. The third habit revolves around something most people already drink without ever thinking twice about it. For many people around the world, tea is just another drink, poured quickly between busy tasks. In Japan, preparing tea often becomes a slow, deliberate ritual rather than a rushed afternoon habit. The gentle sound of water, the warmth of the cup, and that very first careful sip. Instead of rushing toward the next task, there is a brief, quiet moment of complete stillness. That small pause alone can soften stress that would otherwise silently build throughout an entire long day. Green tea carries natural compounds researchers continue studying for their connection to healthier, more graceful aging. But its greatest strength may not be hidden inside the leaves themselves at all, honestly. It is hidden inside the quiet ritual of returning to that same small cup again and again. Many older adults enjoy several cups a day for years without ever giving it a second thought. Not because they expect a miracle, simply because it has become part of who they are. Small rituals, repeated thousands of times, slowly become powerful without ever needing to feel dramatic at all. Imagine trading one rushed afternoon coffee for 10 unhurried minutes with a warm cup of tea. The shift feels almost invisible in the moment, yet becomes obvious once several years have passed. Youthfulness is rarely created by adding something extraordinary. It is often protected by removing quiet stress. And speaking of stress, the fourth habit might surprise you even more than the first three. It has nothing at all to do with skincare, yet people often notice it first on faces. Most people blame every wrinkle entirely on time passing, but there is something else at play. Have you ever caught yourself frowning without even realizing your face had tensed up completely? Clenching your jaw, holding your shoulders tight for hours, carrying tension you never consciously chose to hold. These tiny expressions slowly become familiar to your face, repeated quietly day after day, year after year. Many traditional Japanese practices encourage the opposite: gentle breathing, quiet reflection, gardening, and slow tea ceremonies. Notice how every single habit on this list quietly supports the one that comes right after it. Nothing here works alone. Together, they form a complete rhythm that gently carries a person through decades. Science is only beginning to explain what these communities already understood through generations of lived experience. Perhaps youth was never about stopping time, but about living fully inside whatever time remains. Not because life has fewer problems, but because carrying those problems on your face changes how it looks. Think about someone who laughs easily. Their eyes feel warm, their smile reaches naturally across their whole face. Now think about someone permanently burdened by tension. Their expression quietly tells a story even in complete silence. Inner calm eventually becomes visible, not overnight, but gradually, the same way stress slowly leaves its own marks. And the fifth habit builds directly on the same idea in a way most people never expect. Walk through a traditional Japanese market, and you will immediately notice something quietly curious happening every season. The shelves never look exactly the same. Spring brings tender greens bursting with color and gentle flavor. Summer fills baskets with tomatoes, cucumbers, and juicy peaches picked at the exact peak of freshness. Autumn welcomes sweet potatoes, mushrooms, and persimmons, while winter offers hearty root vegetables and warming, comforting soups. Rather than chasing the newest, trending superfood, many families simply eat whatever is naturally in season. It sounds like a small detail, but over an entire lifetime, it quietly creates incredible dietary variety. Different vegetables, different colors, different nutrients, without ever needing to count a single calorie carefully. There is something deeply satisfying about waiting for foods that only appear briefly once each year. Instead of eating the same fruit constantly, each season becomes its own small, quiet celebration again. Meals stop feeling like routine obligations and start feeling like genuine experiences worth looking forward to. Colorful fruits and vegetables provide antioxidants many experts believe help protect the body as it ages. Youthfulness often begins quietly from within, not because of one magical ingredient, but steady daily variety. Still, food alone is never quite enough because something else repairs what every single day wears away. The sixth habit is something most people completely ignore whenever they think about looking younger longer. When people imagine looking younger, they picture expensive creams. Rarely do they picture their own bedtime. Yet every single night, your body begins one of its most important restoration processes without you noticing. Skin repairs itself, hormones slowly rebalance, and the brain clears away waste built up during the day. Miss enough of those nights, and eventually your face quietly starts telling that exact same story. Dark circles linger, skin loses its natural brightness, and energy slowly disappears from behind tired eyes. Many Japanese evening routines naturally support deeper sleep. Dinner tends to stay lighter than in many countries, late night overeating becomes far less common, and evenings often grow quieter instead of more stimulating. A warm bath, gentle conversation, a little reading, simple rituals that quietly tell the body to slow down. Picture an elderly couple finishing dinner early, taking a short evening walk, then settling into peaceful rest. Nothing about that routine feels dramatic, yet repeated for 40 years, the results become genuinely extraordinary. Looking younger is never about stealing hours from sleep to squeeze more tasks into one single day. Sometimes it is the sleep itself that quietly allows everything else in life to properly function. And the next habit has almost nothing to do with either food or rest, surprisingly enough. It begins instead with other people. And honestly, it might be the most overlooked secret here. One of the greatest secrets to aging well may not live inside any kitchen at all. It may live instead around a simple dinner table shared with people who genuinely matter deeply. Japan holds one of the longest life expectancies in the entire world, and connection plays a role. Friends meet regularly for tea, neighbors greet each other warmly during ordinary morning walks around town, community groups gather often, and older adults keep participating in local activities long after retirement ends. These moments may seem small and ordinary, yet loneliness quietly carries a heavy, often invisible cost. Chronic isolation has been linked to increased stress, poorer health, and much faster physical decline overall. Connection, instead, brings something far harder to measure: purpose, laughter, belonging, and quiet daily comfort. Picture the difference between eating dinner alone in silence and sharing a homemade meal full of laughter. The food itself has not changed, yet everything surrounding that meal feels completely and utterly different. Many Japanese people embrace something called ikigai, having a genuine reason to wake up each morning. It does not need to be grand. Growing flowers, helping grandchildren, or tending a small, quiet garden. Purpose gives the face something no cosmetic product could ever hope to replicate: a quiet spark. And finally, we arrive at the habit that quietly holds every single one of these together. Without this final piece, even the healthiest routines rarely manage to survive for very long at all. The eighth and final habit is choosing steady consistency over any illusion of complete perfection. This might be the simplest habit on this entire list, yet it is easily the most powerful. Many people spend years chasing the perfect diet, the perfect workout, or the perfect skincare routine. They begin with excitement, then life gets busy, and a few missed days become several missed weeks. Eventually, the entire routine quietly disappears, replaced by guilt and yet another fresh attempt at starting over. Japanese culture approaches improvement differently, not through perfection, but through small, repeated actions done consistently over time. A short morning walk, a balanced meal, a warm cup of tea, and going to bed slightly earlier. None of these individual habits look extraordinary on their own, yet together they quietly shape an entire life. Imagine placing one small stone into a garden path every single day, without ever missing a day. After 1 month, the change feels barely noticeable, almost invisible to anyone watching from the outside. After 10 years, you have quietly built something remarkable that no shortcut could ever have created. That is exactly how youthful aging truly works, not through dramatic transformation, but patient daily repetition. Perhaps that explains why so many older people in Japan never seem obsessed with looking younger. Instead, they simply focus on living well, and ironically, that mindset makes them appear younger anyway. True vitality is never only reflected in smooth, flawless skin sitting quietly on the surface alone. It lives instead in steady footsteps, warm, genuine smiles, curious, bright eyes, and calm, intentional mornings. If there is one single lesson worth carrying away from everything we just explored together, remember this. Looking younger for longer was never really about fighting age with expensive products or desperate shortcuts. It has always been about giving your body and mind the quiet daily care they truly deserve. Start with just one small habit. Let it settle fully into your life before adding another one. Over time, you may discover the greatest secret to aging gracefully was never hidden at all. It was simply waiting patiently inside choices small enough for anyone, anywhere to begin today with ease. So before you close this video, ask yourself which single habit you could realistically start tomorrow morning. Not all 8 at once, just one, chosen honestly and given enough patience to actually take root. Real transformation rarely announces itself loudly. It simply shows up quietly, one ordinary morning, years from now. The people who age gracefully were never chasing youth. They were simply choosing peace, again and again. Somewhere between your next meal, your next walk, and your next quiet cup of tea, change begins.